Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday night edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, where today's match finished. West Ham 1, Tottenham Hotspur Reserves 1. But before we dissect that in almost no detail whatsoever, before we get into some of the bigger issues surrounding our club, we've got a couple more guests joining us shortly, but evening to my old mucker, Brad Matthews. Good evening, Brad. How are you?
Hello, Ian. Hello, Adrian. Yeah, I've frozen.
I've
frozen. Oh, there, I'm back again. Yeah, we've been having all sorts of problems in London this week. The company I work for was cyber attacked, so we've basically got to work in the office next week. We can't work from home.
Yeah.
And as you know, the Co-op and M&S have been cyber attacked, so it's no surprise that I froze just a few seconds ago.
No. Well, I hear Liz Truss this was her first week in charge of the Spanish electricity service. So she's celebrating a really great first week in the job. And my sparring partner, Adrian. Good evening, Adrian.
Evening, Ian. Evening, Brad. See, look, we're regulars. We're pretty regular now. Our slot with others, we seem to have a regular group on our shows now, which is good. And we've got a few of our mates in the chat, not too many. We've got 10 viewing at the moment. I'm sure that will go through the roof. So the game, as you said, we'll get into what there is to get into.
And we will, because I think there's a lot of other things going on around the club, not least of which a big match on Thursday and talk of new directors of football and new managers coming in and what have you, players going in, players coming out. So let's talk for a little bit about the game, because let's be honest with you, it wasn't much of a game, was it?
No, it wasn't much of a game. I was getting a bit yawny on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So,
If I didn't have a show tonight, hi, Stephen, all right? Good evening, Steve.
Yep.
Stephen.
Right, a few introductions. Brad, have you met Steve before?
Oh, you
No, I don't think I have. No, I don't think I have.
Okay, well.
But you do it,
Ian,
Adrian.
you and Steve are just getting acquainted as well then, yeah? Steve's got his own show, because I didn't know he's coming. I haven't got his link. Yeah. If you get your link up, Steve, put it in the chat, right? And you can stream it. Sure. You can stream it to yours as well at the same time if you want. Up to you.
I see that.
So then you can stream it to yours. So Ian, back to you.
Yeah, I mean, just while Stephen's doing that. Brad, I mean, I was just going to say, actually, if I hadn't been hosting a show tonight, I might have had a little sleep during the second half because the game was doing nothing for me. And
I heard about the first half. I was watching one of the watch-ons. I was trying to get into my my live stream that I paid £5 for, and for whatever reason they didn't acknowledge the fact I paid for it, and then they didn't send me a password. Blah 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 blah. Long story short, I only watched the second half, but it was like a pre-season friendly. You know, I mean, even West Ham. I mean, this is their cup final. Even they didn't seem too bothered about it. Yeah, you know, it was, I could quite have easily snoozed off. I really could.
Yeah, Stephen, did you catch the game?
Yeah, I sure did, and I will say that as far as like effort goes, it didn't feel like necessarily like a preseason friendly as compared to like Wolves or Nottingham Forest or Liverpool, where it actually did kind of feel like they were just kind of going through the motions. This one, there was actually some tenacity at certain points. But that being said, it was like, to me, it was just like a game of missed opportunities. Like I actually thought that, you know, outside of like the last 15, 20 minutes when West Ham was kind of really putting pressure, I thought Spurs actually did create better opportunities, except they just did absolutely nothing with it. And it's like you score, you get on the board first, and within 5 minutes you concede, and then the rest of the way you work to put yourself in advantageous positions, and then you do everything wrong to choke that away. And you're just kind of like...
The one thing I did take from the game is that I got a bit annoyed about was that James Ward-Prowse, they actually mentioned it on the commentary, has scored so many goals and assists against Tottenham, mainly from free kicks. He came on a substitute with about 10 minutes to go. We gave away 3 free kicks in his area.
Yep.
one of them, we had the brilliant save by Vicario,
Yep.
and when we got the direct free kick right at the end of the game, I'm thinking, that's it, 2-1 West Ham.
Yeah.
This is going in.
Yeah.
And it just missed. So that was the one thing. I was quite impressed with Spence and Tell down that left side in the second half.
Brad, I'm going to come on to the teams.
Right, yeah, okay.
In a sec. Just talking in general, Stephen, maybe you pick that up. The question I posed at the bottom. Non-event, was that exactly what Spurs wanted today?
I'm sure they wanted the win. I'm sure a win would have been nice, just considering it would have been nice to follow up. It would have been nice to follow up and put 2 on the bounce. But that being said, I don't think they're going to be upset with the draw. Considering how things have been going in the league, I don't think they're going to be necessarily that upset with it. So,
and only our typical of our Spurs fans, right, to moan when we get a draw, when we say it so many times over the last few weeks. And it's been loss after loss after loss, and we get a draw, which
correct.
I mean, they'll be pig sick, West Ham fans, because it's worse for them. They're at home, aren't they? So like they'll be pig sick with a 1-1.
Well, again, I easily thought we should have won this thing 3-1. There were a few opportunities where Richarlison should have put the ball at the back of the net. There was this nice little 1-2 between Tell and Richarlison. It was a nice little flick on. That put Richarlison on it, and I don't know if this was a cross or a shot, but the angle. If he just put a nice little touch on it, he had the right side of the net completely wide open, and I think it may have been a cross. And it's just like if Richarlison was like that much more clinical, it would have been a different story. To me, it was like missed opportunities.
What? I'm not going to talk about West Ham for any length of time because this is a Spurs show. But Adrian, I thought West Ham were really, really poor.
Yeah, and they got. I mean, the goal, right? Vicario's done this moment. He lets one through his legs, makes a wonder save with the palm of his fucking hand, right? So how infuriating is that? But the thing was, even with the goal, even though you're blaming him, Spence and Davis all got done on that. Well, that pass coming through as well. If you look, they both got done on that one. So I thought, guys, come on, you're at the penalty. You've got to expect these slide rule. You've got to expect these passes coming in through like that. So again,
I was cool. I was actually cool with Spence on the goal because when the switch came in, he was up the field trying to make. He was actually out of position, which is fine. But Ben Davis lets Bowen run right past him. I don't know if he's ball watching, but Bowen's sitting there camped in the channel. He runs right past him. Then when he realizes what's going on, he gets back in the play, and all he has to do is slide the block. That's it. Just slide the block. He's in a position to do it, and just does absolutely nothing. Ball goes through the
as the keeper. He could have standing with one leg, or you've got. It's like when you're taking a pace forward. If you got 1 foot forward and the other one a little bit back tucked in, that doesn't happen. And if you've got your legs too close, I think they mentioned it on the commentary, but I thought that was poor by Vicario, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I saw the replay of the goal, and Vicario should have saved that. Any goalkeeper shouldn't be letting the ball in.
He's saved loads like that with his legs, though, isn't he? He's saved loads like that with his legs.
I'm just like if Ben Davis actually tries to attempt to try to block that, it gets blocked and out for a corner. Van de Ven probably would have tried to slide and try to block that before it even reaches Vicario.
But anyway, I didn't feel watching the game that. I mean, I'd be honest. I'd use up all my energy and anger trying to get the stream on. So by that time I was just sort of thinking,
it's not allowed, Brad. You can't use all your anger up until the season's over, mate.
No. Wait, Thursday night. Once it's Thursday night, it'll be back. But for today's game, I just sort of. I mean, we're not going to end up any further up the table. Maybe a couple of places, possibly. But and that means something in money wise and. We've all read about the fact that, it's probably under budget, outside what we thought was our minimum requirement. And it hasn't been a good season. We can't deny that. But if you look on the bright side, we've conceded 4 goals in the last 2 away games. It's Wolves and Liverpool, and we got a draw today. So that's
and this lineup is ironic for me because I picked this team, but I picked Kingsky and goal instead. It was the only one I got wrong.
You got it right, didn't you, Adrian?
Well, no, I didn't have Vicario. I had Kingsky. I had Kingsky instead. And I'm looking after the game. I thought, I wonder if Kingsky would have stopped that, or he might have let 2 in. You don't know, do you? You know, but I mean, like, yeah.
I was pretty close. Although I felt like this would probably be a game where they bring back Timo Werner into the team, just because. Well, and my thought process was because we don't really understand exactly what Sonny's condition is, or if he's even going to be back on Thursday. Meaning, like, you're probably wondering whether Batiste sits out this one as well too, in anticipation of starting. So at least you have a throwaway game where you can bring in Timo Werner, where you can chew up 70 minutes coming into the game. That was just my thought process. And this would be a game where Timo Werner plays in. You know what I mean?
You couldn't have too much of a good thing, Werner and Basuma on the same day.
Yeah. Brad, is that the kind of team you'd have picked?
Probably. Looking at, I'm looking at that team thinking, who would I not want to get injured? Well, obviously Vicario, but they need a goalkeeper. But looking at that, Kulishevsky, but then you've got to give him some minutes because I think he's looked a bit rusty. And I thought, to be fair, I think Odegaard and Tell could be very handy players for us in this semi-final and hopefully the final. And I thought Tell is showing some signs that he could be a decent player. I like Danso again. I thought he was looked pretty strong from what I saw anyway. And although he's not on that picture, I thought Mikey Moore when he came on looked
very
good.
To come on to
he sort of showed a little bit extra. There's something there with him, isn't there? There's something. He's got something there, and you just hope that we can sort of just anchor that and develop it. Because when he came on, I got interested again.
Donnelly's got 8 goals and 10 or 11 assists at Orient. Keeley had 14 clean sheets at Orient on loan, you know. I want to see him, Mikey Moore. I want them on that pre-season tour with Vaskovic, obviously. Yeah. We'll see. I mean,
coming on to it, Adrian. I'm going to get to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Stephen, let's bring you in. 15 minutes, some absolutely atrocious defending by Kilman, Tell swoops, and Odegaard converts. Nice goal to score, but by God, you'd be livid if that was us conceding that goal.
Yeah, 100%. But you know what? I'll give Spurs credit because you know what? At least they're taking chances downfield. They're trying to get their wingers involved by at least trying to play them on the ball, which is kind of what you want to see. I mean, from Tell, I don't know how you guys felt, but you know, in this game, I didn't necessarily feel Tell had a good touch for the ball today. But that being said, stays with the play, gets the ball back, plays it across the box to Odegaard. And he takes care of it. As a matter of fact, he was completely alone at the back post right there. So I'm glad he converted. There was nobody within 5 feet of Odegaard to even try to make a play on it, and he calmly just puts it in. But that being said, it was interesting, right? I don't necessarily know if this was Tell's best game, considering like the small time that Mikey Moore came on. I thought Mikey Moore had a better touch for that position than Odegaard had in his minutes today. But that being said, I like the fact that we were able to take a chance playing the ball downfield. It's not something that we've necessarily seen recently, outside of potentially Romero or Van de Ven trying to play it forward. It was nice to see them at least take a chance and be a little daring today. I would have liked to see more of it today, but you know, you kind of get what you kind of take what you can get at times. So I thought it was good.
Yeah, again in the second half, Spence was taking the ball and putting it into a space for Tell to run onto. Now, it didn't work every time, but it gives West Ham or if you're playing another team something to worry about. And I think that's what you've got to create a little bit of uncertainty in the defence of the other team. And by doing that, I think that worked. You know, that seemed to do that. And I mean, it's not. I mean, when I used to play football, not at any great level, it was always put it into the space for the player to run onto. You very rarely, passed it directly to a player if you were attacking. And I don't see that much these days, but I thought Spence in that second half was trying to do that, and it caused a few problems. So hopefully we can sort of build on that.
Yeah, I like the I like Tell when he's played in on the ball, because I actually think it actually plays to his strengths. Attacking 1v1, trying to skin his defender and try to put one in, but every single time in the natural run of the build-up, what does he like to do? He likes to stop short, get on his left foot, cut in, and try to take a shot on goal. Which I actually don't think that. I don't know how you guys feel. I don't necessarily think that's his strongest attribute. But I think his strongest attribute is speed. And I wish he would use it more than trying to play a little. I get the impression sometimes he wants to try to play hero ball, try to be the guy to score that decisive goal. And it's like, dude, you have teammates out there, hit the overlap. You know what I mean?
He looks at his best on the left, though. So on the videos I've watched of him, and what I like about him, like Brad sort of half alluded to, it's not so much his speed. I like his aggression as well, because he's not one of these lightweight wingers you're going to just knock off the ball over the touchline. He's not having it, right? And so he's perfect for the Premier League. What we want to see is, are there enough games to say that we want to buy him? Are we going to get him on another loan? And are we going to pay a sort of price for him or not? That's the thing us fans are sort of like pondering.
Well, if we were still had Mauricio Pochettino and he was playing that Sonny role from 2015, 2016, almost playing as a false nine, but you're making deep runs from the mid and you're playing him on and just letting him just run to the far post, Matisse Tell would be awesome. But in this system where he's essentially asked to hug the touchline, not so much. But that being said, in small sample sizes, you're right, Adrian. I think you might be right.
I mean, I'm gonna come on to the players for next year, because things are starting to, I think, take shape. But yes or no for the three of you? Hi, Gray. I think I've said hi to you. Yes or no next season, whether on loan or a permanent deal, and obviously not for 60 million, would you want Tell at the club next year? Yes or no?
Yes, if the deal's what we believe is the right deal, not for that amount of money. And I don't think no matter how well he played, unless he got a hat trick in the final, right, you're going to turn around and say, like, we're not paying 60 mil for him. We probably paid 5 mil to loan him. You wouldn't be paying 10. That's a bit much for a loan, for half a season or whatever. But I like the look at him. The more I see of him, the more I like. But I don't see how he's going to be able to do enough between now and the end of the season to convince. He's not going to be able to do enough to convince he's a £60 million player. Because if we've got that sort of money, we need to spend it where it needs spending best. So
I think we'll try and do another loan deal. I think we did that. We did that to Timo Werner, because I think with Timo Werner, no matter what you think of him, I think the idea was, well, we haven't seen enough of him to buy him. So let's get him another year loan, just to have another look. I mean, we all know what the outcome's going to be with that, and I think that might be the case with Tell at 60 million. That's an awful lot of money. I mean, we sold Kane for 90. So we're saying that a 19-year-old is 2/3 the price of Kane.
25 million in add-ons. Would that be a deal?
I think it'd be. I think you might find it's like, if we've paid 5 mil already, probably 40. Considering what we paid for Johnson. I think up to 40 max, no more though.
It also depends on what other wingers are available, and if
correct.
I mean, this is completely mad. Supposedly, Lamille at Barcelona's available. Well, you're going to buy him, and Tell can go back to Germany, can't he? I mean, that's what I'm saying. If there's a really incredible winger out there,
there is a very good winger out there, and he's a mate of Bergval's and Kulusevski, called Rooney Bargi. Right, he's 19 as well, right, and he's tricky. Another one with highly inflated.
We've got a load of tricky wingers.
There's also a winger at AC Milan who may or may not have played his way out of Sergio Conceição's system. The American Christian Pulisic, who could be had for 60 million plus add-ons, depending on who you listen to. But that being said, it's like, my issue is the price tag, number one, but the other thing is what does Dortmund, not Dortmund, but what does Bayern Munich want to do with him, right? Because I've actually heard that there's a good chance that he could actually be put back in the shop window this summer at the Club World Cup, and if we're only looking to bring him on a loan option, and somebody is actually willing to give Bayern 40 million plus add-ons or 50 million plus add-ons, like at that point, you're just kind of like, well, I appreciate the half season. We're not matching. So
yeah, it's tricky with the wingers because we got so many. I mean, on the
got
left,
a load, and then you got
Mikey Moore.
Solomon,
you got Yangman Hook,
Solomon
who's
Johnson.
at Crystal
Oh
Palace.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, I better say good evening to our
Hammer's friend here
from Hammer's Football TV. Good evening. I don't know what your name is, but good evening. Yeah, it was. We're not going to talk about the game much, unfortunately, because there's so little of consequence. All I'll say is, considering that was your cup final, I thought West Ham were really, really poor.
I want to thank all.
Hang on. Maybe you'll give us some comments in the chat there about where you think you're going with Potter, because you're another team that's gone through a few managers but don't seem to be making any progress. I'll do a bit more chat if that's okay.
Yeah, go on.
We got
Hello, David.
Yeah,
David Shields from Australia.
David.
We've got Harmless Potato.
Yeah, got Spuds on.
Hang on, who's doing it? You or me?
You do it. You do it.
Yeah. So we got Harmless Potato. Good evening, Harmless Potato.
Like Cleveland as well.
Said David Shear. Hang on. Where's that happened?
Not me.
What?
Oh, if you remove them, go back to the original banner.
You talk about wingers.
I like that. I like that one. So who else have we got? A few people saying hello to each other
congratulations.
I like that. Look at this.
Yeah.
I don't know what David Shear's political persuasions are. Congratulations to Australia for avoiding another Trump.
And a big up to the 86 of you viewing us now. Most of them probably on XCOM. I haven't got XCOM up at the moment.
Yeah. We'll get into 3
Sunday shows seem to pick up a lot of good of you viewers. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would really help us if you haven't already. It only takes a minute, guys, and you've got the ribbon going. Smash the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Right, Chang?
Harmless Potato. I'm not sure about Chelsea, but Palace and us, that'd be brilliant.
There he is. There he is, right there.
Chang.
What's up, buddy? It's Chang.
Hello, Chang.
Chang, we've managed to spend about 15 minutes talking about the game. 15 minutes too many. But let's talk about this one, because the one thing I was going to ask is, should Vicario have done better for the goal? And you've done it. Chang, let me bring you in on this. Did you see the game? I should probably ask you, because I know it's the middle of the night for you.
I was able to watch the first half from between 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. until I think it was about 3 p.m. UK time, and I had to call it quits. This is my third show now. This is my third show in 12 hours since I started at half past 9.
We've all been there, Chang. We've all been there.
Yeah, I had to start at 9:30 a.m. UK time, 12 hours earlier, and unfortunately I wasn't able to stay up for the second half. I had to go to bed by about 4 p.m. and I have just woken up half an hour earlier at 9 p.m. UK time. But thank you so very much for having me on. I did watch the goals. I did watch both our goals, or rather both the goals from the first half, and I'm so glad I missed out on the snooze fest that was the second half. So I'm sure I didn't miss much, but yeah, I was able to watch the first half, and I would say that that was the best possible way for us to prepare for Thursday night, the much awaited second leg of our Europa League semi-final, and absolutely buzzing and looking forward to Thursday night.
Gonna preview it shortly. I better bring this comment up. I've just lost it. What? Show. That's it. I asked a question about West Ham and Harry Potter. And they think they're stuck to see what he does in the summer window. The fans are 50-50. Some want him gone.
Already, gee.
I mean, this is it. No one gets a chance anymore, do they? I mean,
right. It's ridiculous.
I mean, personally, I think he's one of those managers that needs time to develop a club and his own style and impose that on the players he wants. But yeah, I just think there's. I mean, Spurs you can say that this as well, that you've got people have this sense of entitlement that we expect to be in the top 6, or we expect to be challenging for trophies, and sometimes you need to put some solid rocks together, solid foundations together to do that, rather than constantly sacking managers that we do. And I imagine we're going to do it. We're going to do it again. But let's go back to this one. Adrian, let me ask you: the 66 minutes more for Richarlison, did that give you you get the impression that was a pre-planned move?
Yeah, because Richarlison's still rusty. He is a pest though when he's on the field, Richarlison. All that shit hours is welcome. Other players don't like playing against him. I mean, he can bully defenders, as can Solanke when he's up for it as well. I mean, and more. I'd wanted more to have at least half hour. Expect him to get these half hours between the remaining games of this season. Not necessarily in the final or away there. He'll be in the squad because he's in the Euro squad anyway, and we haven't got 25. So, and you're allowed 12 subs. So everyone who's in that squad who's fit will be on there. It's like, I can't get enough of him. Stephen.
Say it again.
Mikey Moore. He looks sharp.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he looked more than sharp. For a kid that really hasn't had a lot of minutes over the course of the last 3 months. He came in and all of a sudden, turned the game on a dime. It was weird seeing a 17-year-old potentially grab the game by the scruff of the neck. It seemed like he was the only one that was flying down that left-hand side. Actually, it was actually fun to watch. I think the highlight for me was when he cut down the byline, and he was it was 2v1. There were 2 claret jerseys that were essentially surrounded, and he found a way to poke it right through the legs to an oncoming Jed Spence as he finished the overlap. And I was just kind of left holding my breath. I was like, how was he able to sneak that ball through? It was just a brilliant piece of work, and not to mention the fact that his work rate was absolutely phenomenal. It kind of makes you wonder what the plan was for him in the second half of the season. I thought by now we would have seen a start in the Premier League portion of the season. I don't know, but I don't know exactly what Postecoglou has in store for him the rest of the way out. But he certainly should be a part of it, especially if Sonny, for whatever reason, is going to end up missing more time. And you have to rely on Matisse Tell for Europa League. It wouldn't be a bad option to have down that left-hand side. And I'm kind of curious to see what's more of them, right? Because from that type of touch that he showed today, I imagine that he depending on who he's playing with, he could also be a goal threat as well too. With more time,
he can play on the right as well. He could play in midfield. I'd say I watched all the under-21 games last year, and I've always watched the youngsters. But in all the years I've watched Spurs, I used to go and watch the old reserves play on the old ground and all that. I have never seen.
I think with Mikey Moore, Richarlison went down in the heap about a few minutes before he got taken off. So maybe that was the reason before. But I think Mikey Moore, if you think that Odeberg and Tell, who obviously got talent, but they got they're 2 years older than Moore. And I think if Mikey Moore continues as he's going and gets more game time, when Mikey Moore gets to the age of Odeberg and Tell, I think he's going to be a much better player than them.
He's a game changer.
I actually think Mikey Moore has a better developmental curve than Tell on the left-hand side. And the reason why I think that is because I actually saw Matisse Tell come up as a striker in France, and that was his primary position. He actually was a striker. Now, granted, when he goes to Bayern Munich, they do play him on the left and the right, but his primary position has always been striker. And now he comes over here. Now he's primarily used at the left. But that being said, Mikey Moore had already come up and developed as a winger, and I think his developmental curve is actually farther along than Matisse Tell at that position. And I don't know how you guys felt about it. I thought Mikey Moore's 30 minutes was better than Matisse. Matisse's tells 60 minutes this afternoon.
He's so balanced, Steve. He's so balanced. I mean, Ian would have seen the pre-season games in Scotland and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he shifts his weight and the way, if he finds a bit of space, if he's coming from midfield, he'll spurt, he'll carry it forward. He won't look for a lazy pass. He can go inside out. And if you get two players in front of him, he can weave his way through them like nothing. He's got that. This is a big call. He's got that balance in a way he can move and go ping in between players like Maradona used to do. He's got that about him. Now, I'm not going to say he's Maradona. Right? I hope he turns into a Maradona. But
he's got a good first step, man.
I think
he's got a good touch.
Even at his age, I think he was 17 in August, so he can't go out on loan next year till he's 18. No, they're not sending him out on loan. Chelsea offered 10 million for him. We turned it down, right?
Yeah.
And you don't. He's got to go on a pre-season. I mean, and I'm hoping, you've got to blood him right. And I was having discussions with lots of other shows I've been on recently, and people say, "Oh, the youngsters." I said, "Yeah, but he's got his quarter of a game today." Right, then you give him 30 minutes. If he does okay, you give him 35. You give him a half. They tried starting him one game, and he took him off at half time, didn't he? But he might have still been feeling that virus or whatever. See, well, it's just a shit season. It's hard to call it when a player's not playing well, whether it's because they've had a knock and whatever, and they're coming back.
Right.
That's me.
Right, but I like it. He's got a deft first touch, but he also has the ability to run past any defender, right? And I love the youthful exuberance because these young kids come in and almost play with blinders on. And that's when you actually start seeing special moments. And I don't know if he's necessarily aware of it, or maybe he's just playing with arrogance, cockiness and arrogance. That youthful cocky, I'm just going to go out there and just dazzle somebody.
It's remarkable because he's not lightning fast. He's got that instant stand you up, zip in and around you and gone, right? But he's not get a run at you, zoom past you like an Adam Traore or someone like that. He's not. If he was fast, my God, if he was fast.
Well, you saw that play in the second half where that ball their Spurs are defending and that ball gets popped up and then it lands to Mikey Moore in the mid and he tries to cut and turn out to the left, and he zipped right past his defender, and he draws the yellow card because somebody had to stick a leg out there and stop him from starting the counterattack, and he just moved right past his defender. All that defender had to do was just stick his leg out to stop it, right? But that was his only defense. It was like I'm going to have to take a yellow here because the last thing I'm going to do is have this young kid, score. It was a beautiful touch, man.
Guys, let me put this to you, Brad. I'll ask you first. You would often talk about Ange's game management, but today he only used that one substitute, and it seems to me that again that was very much pre-planned. That he wasn't going to bring on any of his named players unless he absolutely had to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think. Richarlison needs a bit more game time. I guess Kulusevski did as well. So they got that game time today. But why would you risk, bringing on any of the other players? It was just, it was. It just seemed. It seemed like that to me, definitely. I think Mikey Moore coming on and doing what he did. He could be very. I think you have to be careful with a player like Moore because he's obviously very young. They're still developing. He could be so handy in Norway on Thursday if you bring him on near the end, because we'll probably be talking about the game later, but we need to score in Norway. Basically, that's what we need to do.
Yeah, we're playing for one.
Yeah, and I think that near the end of the game, if it's tight, he can come on whilst and cause a lot of havoc. But no, I think I don't think. Postecoglou was never going to bring on Porro, Van der Ven, Romero. He's never going to do that today, and quite rightly so. Unless obviously, if there's been injuries, but even if Ben Davies, for example, had gone off injured, he probably would have moved Gray inside to half. So
it's sort of bringing on. Adrian, do you think that was how we planned?
Yeah, deliberate, and the sad news today is looks like Maddison's out for the
Well, I'm
season.
going to come on to that.
All right,
I don't know.
All right.
All right, when you do it, it's just, what I was going to say is
So,
when Spurs fans don't, because I mean, Ange probably won't do this, but I would. I mean, that means Decky plays, obviously.
Yeah.
And you could probably say, like, Basuma's played well recently. He might get a game with Sarr or whatever. But
yeah,
I would be half tempted to play Mikey Moore as the 10.
well,
I really would.
that's exactly why I wanted to.
All right, go on, Lee. Go get you
I
in.
wanted to come on to this.
Yeah.
Stephen, let me bring you in then as the newbie here. In fact, I need to bring Chang in as well.
Yeah, Chang hasn't said anything for
Bring Chang in first.
Well, let's get
Yeah.
you, Chang. I mean, I think Adrian's made, and this is absolutely because I don't know if you've been, because you've been asleep and what have you, and it's the middle of the night there. The news that's come out today is that Maddison's knee injury is serious. You don't get out for 5 days with a knee injury. So this almost certainly means that Maddison is out for the season. We know Bergvall is definitely out for the season. I think, the fact that Decky got 90 minutes under his belt today, I think was crucial because he's looked really rusty. But we're short of creative players. And Adrian's raised that point, and I think I'd love to bring you in on this, is Mikey Moore the kind of player that we might need to step up playing that advanced midfield role rather than wide left or right?
I think that actually does apply for the remainder of the 3 league matches that we have after today. That would be the Crystal Palace, the Brighton, and one more game escapes my mind. I can't remember. Villa away. Yep, correct. Our final away league game. So for me, I think it's we have to protect Kulusevski at all costs. Losing Bergvall for the rest of the season was a big blow, despite him signing on for another 6 years till 2031. But to then wake up on a Monday morning to now get the news that Maddison is almost certainly going to be missing out for the remainder of the season, and that leaves only Kulusevski as our sole tried and tested attacking midfielder. This is something that I did cover about 5 hours ago during the pre-match pump-up over on We Are Tottenham TV, where I mentioned that we are going to have to rely very heavily upon Kulusevski to create anything from the West Ham game the moment the lineups were announced. And I think I might have spoken a bit too soon now that I found out that Maddison is out for the rest of the season, which means that Kulusevski will have to get back to the Kulusevski that we knew that was bossing games and
Evening, Jose. Yeah. Oh,
Evening, Jose. You're on mute, Chang.
Chang, we can't.
Yeah, you're on mute, bud. You're on mute, bud.
I don't think he can hear us.
Can you hear us, Chang?
There you go.
I'll be better now.
Loud and clear. I can hear you loud and clear. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Did I face
Yeah,
out?
You went quiet. You went quiet for a bit.
Okay, sorry about that. Maybe.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I struggle with my lip reading Malay, so.
Did you say that, Chang? Are you a policeman, Chang?
No, he's an engineer.
He's gone mute again.
You got mute again, bud. You got mute again, bud.
You got mute. Must be the connection.
Yeah.
No.
1 2 1 2. How many sound engineers does it
Mic
take
check.
to change your light bulb?
1 2
1 2 1 2 1 2.
Did you know 1 2 is actually treble and bass? The 1 2. That's how you check treble and
He's
bass.
going to come back.
Chang's gone off. Right. Well, let's bring you in on it, Stephen. Let's bring you in on the Mikey Moore conundrum. I mean, we've got. Let me go back to the banners.
The riddle that is Mikey Moore.
Well, my concern, and Adrian has raised this, that we, without Maddison, without Bergvall, we are seriously lacking in creativity. And maybe he's just the one. He's just the one that might be able to give it to us. So,
First and foremost, no, there has been no official word yet on whether Maddison's out for the rest of the season. And by the way, when that actually happened on Thursday, I was looking at the facial expression, the body language of James Maddison, and he did not look like it was anything serious. As a matter of fact, I actually thought it was a cramp at one point. Granted, he did he did have the scan and everything like that. And I'm wondering what this was, the words from Ange Postecoglou. I don't want to say it was necessarily a smokescreen, but that being said, I don't think Ange Postecoglou is going to come out and say one way or another ahead of that second leg. I'm putting that out there. But that being said, okay, so let's just assume that he is out. I would think your first option is going to have to be Dejan Kulusevski in that role, just simply because outside of James Maddison, he's our only other creative option in that midfield. That being said, the other thing is I've noticed there are certain trends that Ange Postecoglou has held this season. And when it comes to some of his young players, I think he's putting Bergvall and Archie Gray into a different pot of players, just considering they had first team experience before coming into this club last year. Archie Gray with Leeds, and then of course Bergvall with his Swedish team, already having some of that experience. Whereas guys like Mikey Moore were coming from the academy and the under 21s, things like that. And what the interesting thing about this is, I don't necessarily think Ange Postecoglou has the courage to have a player like Mikey Moore play a position like that, especially in a Europa League semifinal or a final. He's probably going to lean on some of his more experienced players like Kulusevski. And somebody just mentioned this in the chat as well too. I think it was the Harmless Potato who even mentioned that, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility if you need somebody creative, that Sonny might move into that role as well too. I was playing like a 10, a hybrid false 9 type of situation as some sort of creative outlet. But that being said, it's like as much as I like the idea of a Mikey Moore playing that position, I just don't think Ange Postecoglou has the intestinal fortitude to roll the dice with a 17-year-old kid in major European competitions in order to unlock creativity. I just do not see it from a dude like Ange Postecoglou, and that's no disrespect to him. It's just if he's only willing to allow Bergvall and Archie Gray to get minutes, and he's not allowed a guy like Will Lancashire to get minutes, or Alfie Dorrington to get minutes, or Mikey Moore to get minutes. I mean, all of a sudden, what makes you think that Mikey Moore is all of a sudden going to come on the pitch and roll out and play a position like the 10? I just don't see it.
Chan, can we hear you now?
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
This microphone, this dear old microphone of mine chose the wrong particular time to expire and fail on me. It's probably because of the news. It's probably because of the Maddison news.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Jack.
Yeah. What we used to say here, you need to put a shilling in the meter. Adrian, let's bring Brad in. Brad, I'm not suggesting it's a starting position, but if we need a goal, is Moore got that kind of flair and ability to come on and score that? When it's 2-0 to Bodo with 10 minutes to go, to come on and score that goal to take us to Bilbao?
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as Maddison not playing, then I think Kulusevski just fits in there like a glove. I don't think you should play too much with that midfield three. Bentancur, I mean, I presume it's going to be Basuma, Bentancur and Kulusevski. I think I'm not so sure you're going to need a lot of creativity against Bodo. I think you're going to need a lot of grit and determination. And Kulusevski is a wit. He wants to win.
Exactly.
He is that. Yeah. But in the front three, if you're presuming that Solanke's up top, and I would imagine he'd probably go with Johnson on the right because that's worked. But yeah, the other position in the front three, Mikey Moore could be very, 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 very useful. And again, I think, and I know obviously if you're Mikey Moore, you want to play 90 minutes. But yeah, you bring him on with 20 minutes to go, if the game is tight, and when I say tight, I mean if it was say 1-0 to or Bodo or one goal up, then yeah, Mikey Moore could be very, very, very useful. But as far as for playing the number 10, no, I think that's got to be Kulusevski. I think we're going to need a lot lot of grit on Thursday night, which we showed against Frankfurt, to be honest. So
yeah, quite a amount.
Chang, do you think the reason he went with Tell and Odegaard is because he's going to go with Johnson and Son Thursday? Because Son is training. He's been training on the grass.
Is he training?
Yeah, he's been training.
He's training.
Yeah, he's been training.
I didn't know that.
And I mean, apart from his corners and free kicks, mind you, Tell takes a decent corner, to be honest. Right? But yeah, and I would have thought he'll go for the experienced players. I mean, Johnson's got a lot more experience this season with 17 goals and 3 assists. I think Son's on 11 and 11 as well. The Slanky's on 13 and 8, I think. So, and it's an away game. He's got options then to bring Tell and Odegaard on, hasn't he, Chang?
I mean, this is why I've been crying out for rotation for a good long while now, ever since we were drawn against Frankfurt in the quarterfinals. And this game, it's not only just Tell and Odegaard. We've already seen that with Danso and Davis today. And that actually leaves now a lot more, players coming back, either from getting a rest or some downtime after Thursday night. And I don't think it's just only Odegaard and Tell. I'm pretty sure Solanke will be back in the fold as well. Richarlison will be coming off the bench, assuming he's not going to start on left wing again, as he did on Thursday night. So I would still be very cautious with Son. I mean, he's not had a single game for a good month now, ever since he was stuck on 465 or so 464 appearances in all competitions for us in Lily White. So if and when Son does make his long-awaited return to the matchday squad, he still has to be managed very carefully, assuming that Big Ange has plans for him to be playing in the final, assuming again that we do make it to the final. And I think the same could be said for Johnson. I mean, good on Johnson for him to be getting that first-minute goal for us that got us underway on Thursday night. But away against Bodo at Norway, I think that will be a completely different prospect than playing under the lights in N17. So again, it's up to Big Ange really to evaluate what he's seen over the past 72 hours from between Thursday night and today, to see which of those players deserve a starting berth on Thursday night. But I think we're in good shape, regardless of whom Big Ange chooses. It could be Tell or the Beer, it could be Johnson, it could even be Kulusevski on the right, assuming Moore is playing that number 10 role you were suggesting earlier. So we do have options, and good options too at that, not just underexperienced, underage options. So let's just hope that whoever takes to the pitch, they will have shown Big Ange and our coaching staff enough for them to be considered.
Yeah, let me bring in some of the chat. There's some interesting comments come in, so we catch up on this. I'm gonna talk about Ange later, but Aussie Ange, the summer transfer window will be the biggest in our history. Levy needs to offer Ange 200 to 300 million minimum.
Again.
We need. Well, I mean, I think there's two things. One, he said we haven't got the money to spend on this.
Yeah,
we'll have to sell before we buy. The second thing, we're going to be talking about it very, very soon, is whether there's any realistic possibility that Ange will be at the club next year. Winning the Europa will change our club's fortunes for the long term.
Money-wise, for sure.
Here's hoping. I can see that they'll take the CL spot if the Europa soccer must win this match at all costs. The money, yeah, okay.
And to attract players as well. Champions League football.
Yeah. I mean, harmless potato. I would love to have tried Son in the 10, but he's injured as well. I think Ben's best fit to replace. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll go similar to how he went up. We'll talk about the team. I won't talk about it now. I've got an idea what I think he'll do, but Yeah, okay. Right, let's go.
Just want to interrupt for a second. I mean, it's a fantastic show. Thank you, viewers. There was 132 of you viewing us now, which is excellent. We're a very young group. We've only been going 10 months. But big thank you to all of you viewing us now. Probably a lot of you on XCOM and all that. And to those of you who can bother in the chat. Just like I always request each show I'm doing, or Ian does, or Drew does, or whatever. If you can go over and subscribe to the channel, it really helps the algorithm. And you've got the ribbon, advertising ribbon running at the bottom here. You know, smash the like button, leave a comment. But more importantly, if you just go over and just subscribe to the channel, it really helps us. So I want to thank you all, because, you know, we're really picking up numbers now. Back to you, Ian.
Yeah, no problem at all. Let's talk about the future, and then let's talk about what we think we're going to be doing on Thursday night, other than sitting behind the sofa and praying. Steve, I don't know if you've picked up any of this, but we discussed on your show, but these rumours don't seem to be going away. That there's been talk about Irola and Silva and Glasnow.
Yeah, sure.
But the Xavi link seems to have big legs. Similarly, they've agreed a deal with Paratici coming in to work alongside Vinay. I can never pronounce it.
It's Venkatesham.
Ventation.
Venkatesham. There's a K after the end, but that's semantics, right? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I keep hoping that this is another sign that Levy is leaving football to the football people. Don't laugh at me. I know, just don't laugh at me. You know, a man's got to have his dreams. I mean, there's two questions, Steve. One, do you think this story, you know, does have legs? And secondly, what do you think if Ange were to somehow come out and win this trophy? Does he really get the bullet the day after?
No.
That's a great question. What I have heard is that, number one, Paratici definitely has a defined plan for how he is going to hit the ground running, and that makes sense considering we've seen Paratici over the last 3 months at home, at away. You know, he's evaluating the players that are currently on the roster. So I think I personally think he's got a plan for exactly how he is going to work the summer transfer window. That's number one. But number two, I also heard in an advisory role, he was against the hiring of Ange Postecoglou to begin with. And from what I heard, it's just he didn't seem it was necessarily that great a fit. It wasn't because Ange Postecoglou was a terrible manager. It's just he didn't think it was a good fit for the club and for the players that were on the roster that he had inherited. That it was going to be a project that was going to be more than 2 years. We're looking at in the 3 to 5, just because of all the movement and all the windows that you were going to need to get those type of players that would play well for him. So here's the thing, right? I've heard these Xavi rumors as well too. I've also heard Inzaghi as well too, and there's also that link with with Italian football as well. I would probably assume that he knows exactly who he wants to hire if he's going to get the opportunity to do it. I think he would have no problem giving Ange the bullet. But ultimately, it's going to come down to Daniel Levy. But the good news is Paratici is the only dude who's going to be able, going to be able to talk to Daniel Levy the way that Daniel Levy needs to be talked to, and allow him to do his job. And if that means he's got to sack Ange Postecoglou, trophy or no trophy, listen. It's one thing to win the second biggest European trophy in world football. Let's understand it's Europa League. It's not Champions League. It's not like they made some magical Champions League run. This is the Europa League, and we have to keep that in context. But he's also about to set the record for the most losses in the Premier League, right? And that cannot be swept over. And when you look at some of these performances over the course of the last month, it's become apparent that they put all their baskets in the Europa League, right? And so players take their cues from their manager, and if Ange Postecoglou, without coming out publicly and saying that, his match day squads reflect it, And that being said, that demeanor is also reflected in the players' performances, and that can't also be brushed aside as well too. And so it's fantastic that we win a trophy. That would be absolutely lovely. But let's understand that this was probably one of the worst Premier League seasons we've seen in 40 years. That sound about right? So that being said, like this happened under his watch, and we can blame Johan Lang and Scott Munn for the terrible windows that played a role into it. But that being said, it's like me personally, I can't just brush that aside. Now, here's the thing: I respect Ange Postecoglou. I think he's a great coach, but I can also say that the players that he inherited, the players that were here that he was given, didn't necessarily match the way that he likes to play. That's also unfolded over the last couple of months. We haven't seen Ange ball in months now, and we're seeing a far more pragmatic football team than what we saw from last year as well too. I just think that at this stage, with a new director of football who's going to want to bring in his own people, I would probably assume Europa League, no Europa League. This is probably going to be it.
Yeah.
The awkward thing with this is like word from the club is, and this is from today as well, Paratici is not signed for us yet. That's not happened. And I get that. I'm sure we all get that. And we get that because this Europa League isn't finished yet. And whether Ange does stay longer, I mean, like whether fans want him or not, I'll always support any manager or player at the club, whether I like them or not. I've said it many occasions.
Sure.
And then you've got on other podcasts, you've got the frustration. Well, we should be planning now. If Paratici coming there, he should be getting his man in. But his band's not up to the end of June anyway. Doesn't mean to say he couldn't be laying the foundations of doing stuff.
Correct.
He
can't. He can't be officially announced until July.
This is like our club, Steve. Everything's as transparent as mud, isn't it? At the moment, that's what it is, though. You know, it's as transparent as mud. Go on,
Adrian. Let me ask you this. If Ange wins the Europa League, would it be ridiculous to sack him?
From the list I've seen, apart from Xavi, who I would like because he played 767 games for Barcelona, managed the club under financial constraints, brought Lamar through, weren't a bad player, was he? Played alongside Iniesta and Busquets, not a bad midfield three, right? and I'd want him if it meant getting Paratici to get Xavi. Yes, I had talk about these other managers. I'm so Spurs centric, and I only look for players like on YouTube when the stories gain gravitas. That I don't, even though Frank is in our league and Ariola's in our league, I don't really know what they're like. I've got to be honest, I don't. So I'd want someone like Xavi. We've been linked with 12, 13, 14 managers, Scott Parker, and I'm not inspired with the list. And if you've got 12, you'd think, well, hang on, at least 4 of them would be like you'd be purring over or something. But I'm not. The only one I like there is Xavi. He's the only one. But we're in this situation because it does depend on the outcome of it. I mean, and he may go, and it may be we win it, and that encourages to come. Oh, we've got Champions League football, so now he's got a stronger hand in the transfer market as the director of football, isn't he? So then he comes, and he might have someone lined up if we win it, and I hope it is Xavi. And if Ange goes, and I'll thank him for his contributions and lifting the Europa League.
You didn't answer the question though.
Sorry,
would it be ridiculous to sack him?
Yeah, it would. It would, in theory. The most successful manager since 2008, and going back to, and this mirrors 1984 in, because if you remember, we went into the final against Anderlecht and both legs. Second leg, Perriman was suspended. Like our captain, 854 appearances. We were out with players. I'm not sure if Ardiles played in that game. Did he play in one league? Because I know he had to go after Paris Germain for a year.
Ardiles come on substitute, I think.
Yeah. Ozzy's last game was the semi-final at Villa Park against Leicester. In fact, that was the Saturday that Parliament sat for the first time on a Saturday since the Second World War. Where basically Parliament voted to send a battalion to the Falkland Islands, and that was Ozzy's last game.
Well, he came back. He came back though, Ian, didn't he? Because he did play in that '84. I'm sure he played in the '84 final.
What do you guys think then? Just on that, because I've said it would be ridiculous to sack him. And bear in mind, then Levy's got that decision to make, right? You bring someone new, and if it was a Xavi, I'd go, take him. None of the others. If not, wait a season. Poch is free at the end of next year, and you might still get Xavi if someone has snapped him up. So it's a gamble. I mean, like everything in football's a gamble. Every transfer's a gamble. You know. So,
Chang, what's your thoughts, man, from your hemisphere?
I said it the last time I was on, just before I left in the last show when we had, I think it was Jack Kinnicky and also Mr. Steven here. The last time I was on last Friday night, and my sentiments on this haven't changed one bit. I still feel that anyone, regardless if you're Ange or Nuno or Conte or Mourinho, you win a trophy, you get at the very least till Christmas or maybe to the New Year's to see if you can turn things around. Because if we were to sack Big Ange, no sooner had we just won a silverware, a trophy, then it would then set a very bad precedence for any new incoming manager, to say nothing of the impression and also the example we are leaving Big Ange with, and not to mention also the impression that we're going to be leaving on the incoming managers and players, that silverware isn't enough to to keep you in the job. So this is something that shouldn't be taken lightly. Of course, I would get it if there was a mutual understanding, as in Big Ange has this agreement to take his leave the moment the season is over, and I think that would be the best possible cause for all involved, in which we don't actually sack him per se, but he lives at his own free will. But if he doesn't want to leave and he feels like he has earned another 5 or 6 months to at the very least see us out to Christmas to see if they can turn things around, then I say good for him, because he's more than earned that. I mean, just the fact that he's already taken us to 2 semi-finals in a single season, off the top of my head, apart from maybe say Sir Bill Nicholson, which other modern Spurs manager has actually brought us into consecutive semi-finals in a single season? I don't think many Spurs managers have that in their resume. So that in itself is actually a big boost, and also a big indictment as to the way we should be treating Big Ange, regardless of our current league form. But again, if you ask me, I mean, this is all down to all down to Levy and the board. So tread lightly, be careful what you wish for, because we've seen things like this happen with Nuno. So let's just wait and see. What happens come end of the month, come the Europa League final, and then only then shall we pass judgment on Big Ange.
do you guys think that if he wins the Europa League, right, he could, if he stuck his fingers up the club and said, I'm off, I should have been back more oven ready players last summer or whatever, I'm off? Or do you think, hang about, he's got a chance at the Champions League? Like, does he stay for the Champions League, or does he stick his fingers, or does he get sacked? I mean, there's 3 options there, aren't there?
I personally think, and I haven't sort of seen anything or read anything to change my mind, I think he'll walk. I think it'll be a mutual agreement, but I think he'll walk. I'm not an expert.
You want to prove that he can do better, even with this squad.
Yeah, but look, he got Australia to the he won the Asian Cup with Australia and got to the World Cup and still walked.
Just putting the options out there, So.
Yeah, so I think I'm no expert on body language, but just the way he's been in press conferences, I just think and look, I've got absolutely.
Mate, I told you I won things in my second year. I won in my second year.
Well, the only way Ange actually walks.
This is it really annoys me, right? He didn't say, I always win something in my second year. They asked him the question about him winning things in his second year, and he said, well, at the moment, yes, I have. He says, but at the end of this season, ask me again, because it might not be the same. That's what he said. But everyone comes back with this. He said, oh, we win something in my second. I think, I've got the utmost respect for him for trying to change something at Tottenham Hotspur, and to some degree, he's succeeded. But unfortunately, in the Premier League, I just think it's a step too far for his style of football, because there are so many good teams in the Premier League, so many good coaches, managers. and that's really sad. I find that really, really sad. He's had all the injury problems, all that sort of thing. You know, I'm sure Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was built on an Indian burial ground. I'm sure of it. All of the the bad luck we have. But I think he'll say I've taken this team as much as I can, and who wouldn't? I mean, if I was a manager with all the stick he's taken from all the fans and that, which to be frank, you can say I don't think he's a very good coach or manager. He should be gone. But some of the abuse he's taken or we've seen on social media has been absolutely disgusting. So if I won the Europa League with him, I'd say right, I've won. Let's face it, the Europa League is the second biggest competition any team in Europe can win, okay? The biggest being the Champions League. If he wins that, he can say, well, I won the Europa League, bye-bye, I'm off now. And that's on his CV. European League. That's happened.
I don't think he leaves. I don't think he leaves unless he has another job lined up, right? When he left Australia, he had another job lined up, right? And
he's not going to be poor, is he?
Yeah, but still, though, I don't think Ange Postecoglou is the quitting type, right? The only way that he would allow himself to mutually part ways is if he knew he had another job somewhere. But maybe the other thing is maybe he has. There has links back to Japan, although I hope he doesn't go to Japan. No offense to the J League, but that being said, what's interesting about this though is that. Again, I always come back to this. You can't overlook the losses in the Premier League. That's awful.
I totally agree. I would never argue against.
You can't overlook. But I will say this, right? My biggest concern is that we're going to end up in an Erik ten Hag situation where it's going to be untenable. 2 months into the season. The only saving grace is the fact that Paratici is coming through those doors. And the difference between Paratici and a guy like Johan Langer is at least Paratici will do his best to bring players that fit Ange Postecoglou's strengths. That's something that Johan Langer never did. When you look at his transfer windows, under Ange Postecoglou, name one player that actually fits the strengths of his managers. It always seems like it was a square peg pushed into a round hole. At least Paratici is going to do his best to bring in players that actually are going to fit and want to play the style that Ange is going to want to play. And again, we're going to have the Champions League, so that's going to help a little bit. But that would be the only saving grace. And of course, if we stay healthy.
And I think Paratici, if he comes in, will stand up to people like Daniel Levy and will tell them what for. Basically, he certainly won't be a yes man. And looking at your banner now, I think Lang and Munn will go. I mean, look, I don't know what goes on in the business world, but
Munn's already on.
I don't think I've ever heard Munn speak. I mean, I'm presuming it's going to be with an Australian accent because he's Australian, but I've never heard him speak or be even interviewed. Has he ever been interviewed?
That's a good point, Brad. That's a good point. I mean, what's happened at our club, one of the things that infuriates me, and I have to keep calm for the podcast, obviously, as we all do when you're running shows. But we're like the faceless club. There's no PR man steps up to the frame. There's no medical people step up to the frame or science people.
It's all
It's always the manager, but it's always the manager that goes for the meat grinder at the end of it all, right? I mean, I think Langer made one press conference. We see more of Paratici at games. He'd come like a supporter to the games, wouldn't he? And the fans loved him for it. But it shouldn't be down. The manager shouldn't be the one who's got to stand up and ask some of those questions. If it's a medical question, someone should be head of the medical department and answer that. Science team, coaching.
This is where I agree with Ange Postecoglou.
You do abroad here. You get it in Italy and places like that.
Yeah, but not in Britain. I've never seen.
Well, the culture needs to change because I think it's set up so it's because you'll see it every season. Every season you'll see it. By the time the season starts in August or September, if it's later, and we get through to Christmas, you can bet your bottom dollar, go and put money in there. 5 managers will have been sacked because now the new manager's got a chance to do something in a January transfer window because them teams are struggling down the bottom half of the table, right? And it's always the managers. I mean, I was furious when Poch was sacked because the players really let him down. They really let him down. They stabbed him in the back. Obviously, he's not going to say it when he loves the club and he probably will come back. He might be the manager after the next manager. Who knows? Because he's young enough to do that.
I think Levy I think Levy electing to not bring anybody in the transfer window was the one that stabbed him in the back. But that being said, it's like you have a squad that's been together without any type of deputies coming in to give some of these players rests. Yeah, I don't know, man. I thought Levy was the one that kind of stabbed.
You're totally correct, mate. I mean, 518 days we went without a transfer under Poch, right? And I don't believe Poch wasn't offered players. But he'd have been offered Joe Roden or Matt Jansen or players like that, and Poch would have gone, "Nah, I don't want them."
Yeah,
and that's the right.
Yeah,
way
like seriously, the last couple of years of Poch, who was, by the way, the last couple of years under Poch, who was Kane's deputy at striker? I can't remember. That's my point exactly. You know what I mean? It's I don't know, man. Like the amount of football the amount of football that core played in a 5-year period, you can understand how they kind of got off the slow start in 2019. You can understand it at least. I'm just saying.
Well, we never had a striker, did we, for Harry Kane?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Richarlison was a desperate buy, in my opinion. The pressure was on to bring a striker, and look, he's a wholehearted player. I can't knock him. Made of glass. He has the odd good games. He might even start Thursday on the left for his physical presence against a very energetic Norwegian side. That might be part of the tactic.
I hope not.
I don't know.
I hope not.
Well, he played in the first leg. He didn't do too bad first half. He did some. Well, he laid on the goal for Johnson, but with a looping header. But
yeah. You know what's interesting though is you bring up Richarlison. I keep hearing okay, so if the rumors are true that we have to sell to buy, okay, fair enough. Let's say that's true. The interesting thing about this is, right, so Richarlison is damaged goods. He doesn't want to go to Saudi because the 2026 World Cup is still something that he wants to participate, and he doesn't think that's going to happen if he leaves the Premier League. But outside of that, knowing that he's damaged goods, how does Tottenham actually sell a player like Richarlison on and actually get to that £30 million mark, knowing that he's missed essentially almost 2 years of football? When I look at when I look at some of these players, and I'm like, okay, yeah, in a vacuum, if they were actually playing well and they just didn't fit the system, fair enough, you can move them on. You might get top dollar. But when I go down the list of some of these players, some of them are on loans that ended up getting injured at some point this year. Some of them didn't. Some of them actually had a pretty solid season. But that being said, it's like, how are we supposed to move on some of these players? Like for instance, Yves Bissouma, right? Like, what's the going rate for an absent-minded center defensive mid who can't defend anyone? You know what I mean? Like, how are we supposed to move off on some of these guys, whether they're damaged good or they're just playing absolutely lousy?
It's market forces, like anything in life with the market. If you look at Richarlison, he's a number 9, right? We know that Chelsea and Arsenal need a number 9. He's not going there. Evan Calvert-Lewin's going. He won't sign a new contract. He'll be gone the end of the season. So the odds on he sort of goes to Everton, right? But there's teams out there like Brighton have got keeping Evan Ferguson out the side, the ex-Arsenal Man United forward. He's about 37 now, whatever he is. There's such a shortage of number 9s. You will get your 30 million for Richarlison. If he went to Saudi, you'd pick 50 for him. Easy. Well, and Bissouma, Palace were in for Bissouma. Villa were interested in Bissouma, right? You're talking a midfielder. What's an average price of an average midfielder? I know Bissouma's only got a year on his contract to go, right? But you'd get your money back on Bissouma. You'd get 25 mil from it, I reckon. But I mean, I'm just my opinion, right? And I reckon you'd get at least 30 to 40 million for Richarlison because there's shortage of strikers. Well, I could be totally wrong here.
Adrian, the stories. I've put that thing on the.
I've read it. I read it now.
This is from the last couple of days media. We know that Levy's come out and said we've got to sell before we buy. Romero linked today with Real Madrid, so Real or Atleti would appear to be in the driving seat. But which club? We'd surely get 60 million for him comfortably.
Yeah.
Richarlison back to Everton. They are talking about, I mean, again, what I'm reading in the press, they're prepared to pay £40 million for him. Mm-hmm. I think that would be brilliant business for us. I know we spent 60, but it just wasn't money well spent. There's rumours that Manchester City want the replacement for Kyle Walker. They want Porro as the replacement for Kyle Walker. It's another Spaniard, of course. and they're prepared to pay 80 million for him.
On that, Ian, on the Man City thing with the Walker thing, it's because Porro was originally at Man City and he never got the game time. When they asked him after one game, oh, Man City about interest. This is months ago, mind you. He said they want to buy. He said, what, on FIFA? And that was live into the mic, which made me laugh, right? Yeah. But the other link to Man City's going round now is that they'll offer Spurs 55 million for James Maddison, and he's not fit. So Maddison's another offer. We keep Maddison, in my opinion. We keep him. We have to keep him, right? But that's another one. Regular will go for nothing. Gill, that's 8.5 million for Girona. If they don't want him sodding, Forster will go for nothing. Whiteman, you might get a few mil for Whiteman.
Adrian, I'm going to interrupt you for a very good reason. Stephen, I've just picked up your message. Do you want to say anything about this before you go, or do you take your leave?
Sure. Yeah. Like, the interesting thing about Romero is he's got 2 years left on his contract. You don't have to sell him this summer. And especially with Paratici coming in, all it takes is for Paratici to sit down with him and say, hey, listen, I was the one that brought you into this club for an absolute reason. Give me another year to let me show you our ambition and exactly how we're going to get this team kicked on in the right direction. That being said, center backs to me are also like strikers, right? It's also a commodity. It's incredibly hard to actually find a good center back pairing that's going to actually be an anchor of your spine for a good 5 years. And Spurs right now have a back two of Van de Ven and Romero that make each other better. When I look at those two play, and especially when they're on it, it's one of the better center back pairings in the Premier League. And I think it would be just an absolute letdown if Spurs let Romero leave this summer. Over innocuous comments, that really to me were actually much to do about nothing. I understand that he's coming into his prime and he wants to win things. But that being said, it's like the only way that you convince him is if you actually go out there and you show ambition. And you actually bring players in and around them that are going to, that are going to match Romero's ambition. All it takes is a sit down and a clearing of the air. But that being said, if it's about respect, Spurs also have the dollars that they're going to be able to make him, a very wealthy man. And if it means you gotta pay him over the 200K per week mark, then you do it for a guy like Romero, because that guy is a World Cup winner, has won multiple Copa Americas with Argentina's. These type of players do not grow on trees. And the last thing you want to do is continue the repeat cycle of getting rid of your best players. Essentially like $60 million for a dude like Romero when he's worth 80 to 100 million pounds. You just don't do it. You build around these players. You don't get rid of them. And I would love to see Christian Romero stick around at least for another year under that tutelage and that partnership with Mikey Van de Ven, because those two players make each other better. I'm sorry. Maybe Pedro Porro, maybe. But that being said, it's like we just saw this last Thursday. Like when that back four is on it, you can tell that it's a back four that you want to keep around. It's one of the best back fours in the Premier League. And I understand the context of the season with the injuries and everything. Okay, that's great. But that being said, it's like, when you needed them to step up and have a performance they delivered, it's like it makes no sense, to chop and change your center back pairing now. You know what I mean? Get Romero and Paratici in a room, let them hash it out, and at least for this upcoming season, keep them around N17, because we're gonna regret letting Christian Romero go. That's all I got to say about that.
Steve, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you Friday with Drew.
Thanks.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice meeting you, Steve. Take care, mate.
Have a great day.
I'm going to take something because a mate of mine who's been on before, Sheffield United supporter, has asked a question, and I'm gonna go through the chat in a minute, but I'm going to ask you all one by one, yes or no. Maybe you give your reasons as well. Chang, let's bring you in. Is a Spurs Man United final nailed on?
I wouldn't say it's nailed on. There is a 90% possibility, seeing as how both the English clubs have one foot in the final, and I would say the likelihood that this becomes a possibility is maybe in the 80 to 90% percentile. Of course, nothing can be taken for granted. We've seen stranger things happen in football. I mean, if we can score 3 in a single half away at Amsterdam, I mean, what's to stop say, Bilbao, I think it is. United are playing Bilbao. Yeah. So what's to say that Bilbao can do something similar at Old Trafford come Thursday night? And as for Bodo, I think it's very, very, very precarious for us to underestimate them. But I would say that, yeah, this is a very good possibility. And an all English Europa League final would be something to savor, especially when you think of it, when you think of the fact that this final fixture would ensure that England does have another English team in the Champions League final. That's going to be nailed on for sure if this does happen.
Brad?
Yeah, I think it's highly likely. I think if he went to a bookies, that'd be the favourite. I mean, yeah, Chang's right. It could happen, but let's face it. Atletico have to win by 4 goals at Old Trafford, or win by 3 goals at Old Trafford and go win on penalties. Tottenham, despite us being told that Bodo are going to do us, and no, you're not going to survive there, and I mean everyone's been sort of making them out to be like they're Liverpool at Anfield, but they're not. I think we should get through. I think we should do it. If we don't, well then fair play to Bodo, But no, I think that, and then this brings up the horrible thing. This brings up the thing is, and they must put this into future competitions. Why have you got 2 English teams going all the way to Spain to play the final? If that was to happen, it's the same. We had when we had Liverpool in the Champions League final. We wanted to go. Why not play it in England somewhere? I don't get that. It's yeah.
But they choose the stadia a year in advance or whatever, and that's where they stick. I mean,
I'm just probably annoyed that Wembley's really easy. Wembley's really easy for me to get to. So
And why don't our leagues do what foreign leagues do and guarantee that their teams have at least a week's rest before a final?
Well, that's another story. Adrian, is it nailed on?
Oh, it's nailed up the Spurs. I'm not so sure about Man United, the way they play. They could easily concede 4 goals at Old Trafford. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I can see them. I can see us playing Bilbao, and that'd be worse actually, because we beat Man United 3 times this season. And by the way,
the hotel rooms will be freed up.
Yeah. If we beat them again, we get to keep them, right? Because they're done, they're dusted, right? Look. I get the nervous anticipation. I'll be excited as anyone on Thursday, as you are. But you blend that with confidence or pessimism, didn't you? And look at this. Like, obviously, we know a win gets us through. We know a draw gets us through. But we can lose by the odd goal and we're still through. We can lose 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, and we still go through. I mean, when you flip it that way, if I get the nerves from fans, when you flip it that way, we are in such a strong position to blow this. And if we blew it, like for a player getting sent off or something like that, then you would kick them out of the club, wouldn't you? Because you've blown what we've been trying to get for ages, a piece of silverware. I said we're winning the final against Man United 2-1, right? That's my prediction. Clip it, 2-1.
The only thing that worries me is the Zagreb game. Yeah, we were 2-0 up there and we lost 3-0 in the.
Yeah, that was under Mourinho, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. I think that. I think we have to score. But hopefully early. But yeah, you are getting the. And to be fair, and all credit to them, the Bodo fans are really, really confident, and their players are really, really confident. The ones I spoke to on the way home on Thursday, like they think they're through. So,
Yeah.
They're not as tough as opposition as Frankfurt are, and we'll be training on our plastic pitch anyway. We've got a plastic pitch at the training ground. We'll be training on that indoors. So, all right, we didn't do so well at Tamworth on a plastic pitch, did we? Till late in the game. But I mean,
How close were we?
What about you, Ian? What about you?
Yeah.
Oh my word.
I'm not as confident as everybody. I think I was so deflated on Thursday night, Friday morning over that goal that we let in. But I thought it was typical of us. We lose Bergvall before the game. We lose Solanke during it. We lose Maddison during it. So we lose our main creativity. And I mean, I know they had a couple of reserve centre halves, but Solanke was bullying them, something rotten. I mean, he was knocking perfectly within the laws of the game. But he was up his physicality was too much. I think without those injuries, we win 5-0, and it is game over.
The one thing about Ange Postecoglou, and this is what annoys me about the people that criticise him, they'll say he doesn't know what he's doing. He's been in the game for 26, 27 years or whatever it might be, but he does know a bit about football. And he actually said that he noticed that Bodo had their two midfielders playing high up, and he played Basuma and Bentancur. So he does know a little bit about football. And I think it'd be different, obviously, because they'll have their I think it's Berger, isn't it? Their decent player back who controls things. He's a sort of the quarterback type player in their midfield. But I think we, people have been building this up.
Maddison not playing in the away game might be a blessing in disguise.
Well, I think if you put, as I said earlier,
more beef in the team.
We will have to score out there, in my opinion.
We need to score, and I think we need to score first. Because the one thing that worries me is if they get an early goal, and we've said it before at Tottenham, it goes belly up. I was going to say another word then. It goes belly up after that. But
they didn't lay a glove in the hunt. We should have won 5 or 6. They had about goal, which deflected off of Bentancur's foot, and they had that shot towards it in about the 95th or towards the end of the first half, about 46th minute or something, when ball whizzed past and Vicario was moaning either at VDV or your doggy or whatever. I forget now at the time, right? And I thought that was it. And we did let them have possession for quite, and we game managed it. No, there's not. In a million years are we not getting to this final.
Let me bring a bit more in because there's quite a lot in the chat. Jess, I'm quite late with this, so good evening.
Big up, Jess. Big up.
Good evening, and congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations to Leeds for winning the championship with Manor Solomon's goal.
Oh, Leeds. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I've got a lot. I used to live in Australia. I'm English, but I used to live in Australia, and I know a lot of Leeds fans. A lot of my mates are Leeds fans, and they're over the moon at the moment. So yeah. So
by the way, Jess,
and yet there's a club. Which what we were talking about before, Jess. There's a club that's had a manager playing sparkling football, won the championship. Who they're talking about replacing. So you tell me anyway. Oh, sorry, I've dealt with this.
And Solomon's got 8 goals and something like 12 assists in 39 whatever it is. So Jesse's that 15 mil's now gone to 25.
Yeah.
If we sell him,
yeah. I mean, harmless potato. Some of the older people will know the last time we won a European trophy.
He bought.
He did. Brad,
was there.
Were you there?
I wasn't. I was living in Australia then. I was actually around my girlfriend's house that night.
Yeah.
And I woke up in the morning and put the radio on, and they actually went on the Australian news that Spurs won the UEFA Cup. So.
Yeah. No, I saw it. It was one of the magical nights.
My lasting memory of being in that stadium was like when Danny Thomas missed the penalty, and the whole crowd echoed. Danny Thomas. It was brilliant.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Keith Birkinshaw resigned a couple of days later, saying there used to be a football club there.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just got some next season. There you go. Our Aussie fans. Next season, if Ange chooses to stay, we're getting top 4 in a cup. And then a slightly different perspective from Simplier's.
Top 4 in a cup. Was he winning quadruple?
Yeah. So we're either getting top 4 in a cup or we're getting relegated. There are no extremes with Spurs supporters. So, I mean, it's simply I wanted Ange to succeed. But,
did Simply Ace had a song out years ago? Was it Simply Ace had a song out? Was that how long? How long has this been going on? Was that Simply
Ace 1984? Paul Carrick.
Yeah, so Paul Carrick. Oh wow.
Yeah, Paul Carrick, lead singer of a Sheffield boy.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Paul Carrick. Yeah, like Joe Cocker as well, another Sheffield boy. So
As
what
Def
else have
Leppard
we
were.
got?
And Jarvis Cocker for that as
Oh,
well.
Jarvis Cocker, yeah.
Def Leppard were
More
from
your
Sheffield
kind of
as well.
thing.
They might have been, yeah.
Remember Def Leppard?
I was never into that sort of stuff at the time, but
Drummer lost his arm, but they kept him on.
yeah, I think Def Leppard, did they? Oh, no, it's Saxon that I think inspired Spinal Tap, I think.
I mean, and there you go. Daniel
the forecasters in there, Ian, at the bottom.
Not pulling his punches here. What Premier League club will touch Ange after he had Tottenham potentially finishing 17th in the league? These Angian fans in the chat have a football IQ of a 4-year-old.
Well, no, this is what gets me right. This is what gets me okay. Ange's style of football, I don't think works in the Premier League because you've got too many decent teams in there. But I think it
Daniel,
works.
I've got one thing to say to you.
It works elsewhere. So to say, okay, maybe a Premier League might go near it. I think other teams will.
Daniel, I've got one thing to say to you, Vlahovic, because Daniel thinks I've got a photo of Vlahovic on my bedside table because I keep saying we should buy him, right? Vlahovic, Daniel, Vlahovic.
I mean, I would certainly. I mean, personally, I think Ange is gone, but I think if he wins the Europa, I think it would be churlish to sack him. It would be typical of Tottenham. You know, ungrateful bastards, I think. Never mind glorious bastards. Ungrateful bastards, I think, would be the... So I've got more. There's so much coming here. You've got to get Pete's weather forecast, Ian. Oh, Chris is in the house. Evening, Chris.
Hey,
Chris. Big up, Chris.
I bumped into Holly the other day.
Community legend, Chris.
Chang, I'm leaving out your private chat with Jess and some of the other ladies. I know you got it bad for the women on here, but I'll let you off. And I won't tell your wife.
Well, I thought I heard that Chang was a policeman, but you're not a policeman.
I'm a civil engineer. I'm a civil engineer currently preparing my work on a Monday morning here at the developer's office. So yeah, I mean, for this, you could say that I'm a Tibetan monk. All I care. But thank you so very much for that.
When I thought you were a policeman, I was going to tell all the girls that are here, hi girls, that are here for a party afterwards. I was going to tell them to leave. You know.
Yeah, and you're remissing. Ian, you haven't done this man here.
I won't be too long.
This man here.
Who's it? I'm sure. Oh, it's Peter. You taking that away? Sorry, I wanted to find that. Leeds. Sorry, I'm putting that back just for a minute, Peter. I'll come back to you. Leeds chairman has come out and said Farke is staying.
Oh, that's right. He sat then.
This is show. As soon as it said Leeds chairman, the first thing I thought of was Manny Cousins. That is showing my age.
Yeah.
Absolutely showing my age.
Even I can't know who that is.
You know, that's another thing, Jess. We've been talking about wingers. We've been talking about wingers at Tottenham, and we seem to have them coming out of every port. But this boy is creating. I know it's only. I say only the Championship. The Championship's a bloody good standard every time I see it.
It is actually, yeah.
Yeah. I watched Coventry and Middlesbrough yesterday afternoon. It was a cracking game of football. I mean, it really was a cracking game of football. And life is not complete for me without my Melbourne.
Leeds going to have to buy, though, to stay in that division. They will have to buy.
Yeah. So, morning, Peter. We have 193 people watching. That
brilliant. Fantastic. Absolutely
fantastic. I've actually got we've got 166 on
XCOM.
On XCOM, so on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. There's no way they can subscribe from that.
I call it Twitter.
Yeah. I'm a fully fledged twit as well.
Yeah, no, we're all twits. But can people like and subscribe to the channel from that?
Yeah. I mean, like they just go. Well, they're watching us now on the link from there. I mean, we post the show in XCOM. You just go to the link and you subscribe, and it will help the channel grow. And we do pride ourselves and bring, don't laugh, mature and sensible content, right? And fact-based content. We're very fact-based here as well. Like,
I mean, obviously, there's a load of
and
the old
the facts and give you the links, so we're not bullshitting you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
obviously, there's a lot of the Blue Sofa Army out there watching. So you know.
No, good stuff. Jess, I'm going to suggest to you that we will use the Solomon deal as a leverage to cut what we have to pay you for Archie Gray.
Yeah,
Probably right.
Or maybe
to
we'll
get his brother,
as well.
or to get his brother at the club.
Yeah, well, as I just said, his brother. Right, let's go back to. Well, let's talk about a couple of things. What are we with an hour and 34 minutes? I certainly don't want to run too much longer. Let's talk about Thursday. I've got another banner there about Xavi and the players coming back, but who will stay. But I think that will do for another show towards the end of the season. Let's talk about Thursday night. Chang, how do you think we might set up on Thursday?
I honestly feel that the starting 11 that took to the pitch on last Thursday night would have a very good shout out of a starting again this coming Thursday night. Although now that we are short of Maddison, that would leave Kulusevski to be filling in on the number 10 role, and I think pretty much it's status quo. Bentancur and Bissouma should retain their places in midfield. That is assuming that we can get say a Jet Spence to be filling in for Porro, because as much as I love Porro going forward, I think this is the one game where we need to be very stout and solid at the back. So Vicario would be my goal.
Chang, before you go on, let me put this to you. That if you look at the stats, when he's played a back five of Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Udogie, our record of conceding goals is way better than any other combination.
Okay, so yeah, in that case, then that would be a good shout. But you have to remember that despite us being 2 goals up going into this second leg, there is always that possibility and also that probability that Bodo might scrape a goal in either half, which would then balance out the tie, and we might even have to go into extra time, which is why I feel that if we do have to score even once for that matter, regardless if it's in the first or second half, then we should do it early. And then once we've restored that 3-goal lead, then we can start managing that second half and start making plans for the final. But until such time as we are, as such we are comfortable with our 2 or 3 goal cushion, I would still throw caution to the wind. I mean, Bodo Glimt are no pushovers. They really gave Lazio a run for their money, and they were, rightful. They were rightly the better team in that quarterfinal. So take Bodo Glimt for granted at your own risk, but I would still stick with the same philosophy and pretty much also the same formation and lineup. Barring those players which I mentioned were injured earlier, going into this second leg. And let's just wait and see how that first half plays out. And if we still find ourselves 2 goals to the good going into the second half, then only then do we then start to manage the game a bit and put up more of a defensive formation just to see out the tie to book our place in the final. Having said that, back to you, Mr. Meth.
Adrian,
I've got to disagree with Chang. I get where he's coming from, being conservative, but Porro was left out of this team today for a reason, and he's coming back in, even if it means Udogie playing a bit deeper. Like when we used to play the centre backs under Mourinho, and one of the fullbacks was allowed to bomb on, and the other fullback would come in and make an extra centre back. I still think we'll go for it, and we need Porro's crosses as well in there. I mean, I've been mixed with Porro, whether he's a net gain, when he's been liability defensively and all that, but he's superb. Technically, he's superb, right? And so he starts with the back four that you mentioned, Ian, and Vicario's in goal. The midfield three will be Decky, Bissouma and Bentancur. But picking the front three this is where it might throw us all out. He could go Richarlison again. Solanke's definitely going to play in the middle. It's a question who's on the wide left or right. It's a question how sharp they see Sonny. Does he come on at half time? Whatever. Or it just depends on that. He could play Richarlison on the left. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have options either side of Solanke. But he could, as it's a hard away game, could go, right, I'm going with Richie on the left because I want the aggression there. Because you know that Richie will give you that tracking back aggression everywhere, right? That Son won't give you with the physicality. Son, you want the balls played in front of him, so he's running on, so he hasn't got to have his back to a plan, try and beat someone on a half turn or pass it back. And then with our wingers, they end up passing the ball back 9 times out of 10. So I go with your back five, Ian. The midfield we're all picked on. I go with Solanke in the middle. Give us it in the chat, guys. Who do you think's playing left wing and right wing? Give us it in the chat as well. Go on, Ian.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have hit 200, 201.
Brilliant,
guys.
Absolutely fantastic, guys.
Adrian, can you put a link in the chat so that anyone that watching can hit the like and subscribe? I can't see the link to
Let me get right. Hang on.
Diehards link. Can you get
cancel that? Hang on. Yeah, I'll do this in a second. I'm opening.
Can you do this? Because I'll give my team as well. While you're doing that, we're down to 199. A couple of people must have said, "Oh, bugger that, 200." Hey, yeah, people do come in and out. Brad, what's your team? Because I think, I've got one place I'm not sure about. The rest of it, I think picks itself. But
I'm probably with Adrian on this. Okay, let's assume two things. One, there are no more injuries on the training ground between now and Thursday, and two, that Maddison is definitely out. And the old adage in football, never change a winning team. So I think he'll go with the same team that played last Thursday. The only change would be, obviously, Maddison not playing. Probably Kulusevski comes in there. I think he'll go Richarlison up front because if Son is fit, he's a pretty decent player to bring on in the second half, as are players like Mikey Moore and Odeberg and Till and that. So
when you play Richarlison, Solanke's going to be fit for the game, so he's going to start.
Oh yeah, no, Richarlison on the left. As I say, like we started on Thursday. So I think we need to be a bit tough against Bodo in this game. I think we need to be physical.
Yeah.
And
if you go physical, you play Tell on the right because Tell does give you physicality.
Yeah, but I think going into the
go with Johnson. How can you leave Johnson out?
Well, no. You didn't hear me, Adrian. Didn't hear me. I said he goes with the same team he played on Thursday. So Johnson starts on the right. So I think that's what will happen. I don't think he'll change it. The only change you'll make will be the enforced change, which is Maddison out and Kulusevski in. I think that's the only change that we'll see. And I think we've got some decent players on the bench to come on if we need that little bit of oomph in the second half. But we need to avoid conceding early, which we do a lot of the time in these pressure games. And we need to give them something to worry about. And players like Richarlison probably do that. You know, even if he's not scoring or not, you know, he'll just give them something to worry about. We need to do that.
I actually think like bringing someone like Son on the second half. If he's not sharp enough to start, they'll know during training now, right? But bringing him on might be a very good tactic.
There's a lot of chat. Eltel Cockerell and his predict because it's all getting tight now. I think I've got about 5 points, Jose. You maybe want to tell me. I haven't counted them up yet, but every time I look at the score, it's another one I've got wrong.
I did ring him, Jose, to get his predictions in.
Okay. Well, Super Spurs. That's Stephen, isn't it?
Blaine.
Blaine. Sorry. Well, that's a medial cruciate ligament, so that's never mind about his season. That's
Christmas. He's not making a final then either.
No. That's. I think there's absolutely no way that Maddison is playing. It's just a matter of confirmation. Right, my team, my back five. He's got to play that. Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, and Udogie at left back. I thought what really worked on last Thursday was the fact that he had Bentancur and Bissouma holding. For the first time, he played 2 pivots in that number 6 role. And it worked fabulously. It worked fabulously because it stifled them. And secondly, it really freed up the fullbacks to get forward. And I thought Udogie and Richarlison on that left-hand side looked fantastic.
Because he knew that Bodo have 2 really forward midfielders.
Yeah.
But Ange can't coach, so there you go.
Yeah, well, no, and I think this is... sorry, I'm on to more important things than winning a Euro.
I'm coming for you, Ian. I'm coming for you. We've got this banter. For those, the 200 of you watching, we've got this little banter. We didn't have a bet. We'll have a bet next season. We've got this little banter who's going to finish higher in the predictions league, and we're like, Ian's 4 points in front of me at the moment.
Yeah,
so.
it was. Am I seriously? Did I lose?
You still
more
maybe because you had a 4-point lead, which can be quite. I mean, I haven't had a great week. We got 1 game to go tomorrow. It's 3 points up tomorrow. But big up for Jose for doing that show.
I've had an absolutely shocking week. Right, so I'm going to play Bissouma and I'm going to play Bentancur as the holding players. I'm going to play Kulusevski because I just don't think there's anybody else. Solanke Touchwood will be fit up front because I think that would be a massive blow. Certainly, Anne just said he should be okay for Thursday, the medical. So Solanke plays up front. I'm playing Johnson, and in fact, I was going to mention we talked about something else after we were 1-1. In fact, no, I'm lying. It was 1-1. And Tell won the ball again on that left-hand side. Or was it Richarlison that won the ball, knocked it across, and Odegaard wasn't there? And I'm thinking, if Johnson is playing, that's exactly the position he gets into.
Yeah.
So if you remember that one, it was 38 minutes. And so I think Johnson plays, and I think the only question then is who plays on that wide left. You talked about Sonny being fit. I can't see it, to be honest. So I don't know is the honest answer. I think it's between Tell and Richarlison. I think Richarlison has got a bit more know-how, a bit more experience.
Ian, come on, behave. You haven't mentioned Mikey Moore.
Mikey Moore doesn't start. Shithouser.
No, he doesn't start.
I would have Mikey Moore there, as just someone who might be able to do something different, particularly on a pitch like that.
Ian and Adrian, because Chang's obviously too young. Am I right in remembering that when we played in the UEFA Cup semi-final against AC Milan in 1972, that we recalled Alan Mullery from a loan spell against for Fulham?
For the AC Milan game or the Inter Milan game?
Yeah,
it was Internazionale. I went, Steve Perryman scored twice.
It could be a similar situation. Obviously, not recording from.
I was at the game 2-0.
It could be.
Mullery was affectionately known as the tank at Spurs.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Maybe that might be the situation with Son on Thursday. Who knows?
Wow, Jose! Looks like everyone had a bad week in the predictions league.
There you go. I put some quirky results in, thinking of teams that have got knocked out of FA Cups and stuff, mate.
That's why I'm going to whoop your arse in.
Well,
and they're all picking this up in the chat, which is good because it's kills the time.
I have the buttons. I can remove you from the stage at any time.
That is also true.
All will be revealed on. Adrian, you're doing a show on Tuesday. And I wonder if we win, lose, or draw should come on Thursday. There'll be a lot of shows going out Thursday.
Well, we've got our Friday show, so we can. Well, I mean, I don't mind throwing an additional show on Thursday. We see how the game goes first. We're going to win. Then there'll be every man and his dog will be doing shows in. And everyone will want to be on the shows as well. So.
I'll be at the pub going like that to all the Arsenal fans that are in the pub.
Well, the only London club not to win a trophy. Yeah. Shane, will you be up? It'll be what time is it? An 8 o'clock kickoff, so it'll be a 4 a.m. kickoff for you.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock their time, I think. So
if it's an 8 p.m. kickoff over there in Norway on Thursday night, it should be about 3 a.m. On a Friday morning for me.
Yeah, it'll be
So-
9 o'clock in Norway. It's 8 o'clock in UK, 8 o'clock British time, 9 o'clock European time.
So
but
because
if you want to come on Friday, Chang, just message Rosilla. Just message him.
I will, and I think this Friday should be doable for me. I have
Okay.
everything set up here for me to be
Mhm.
up and about by about say 4 or even 5 a.m. As I did today. So Friday should be doable for me. But before that, I think we have that little matter of seeing out Thursday first, and absolutely looking forward to Thursday. And if the Friday show does materialize, absolutely looking forward to Friday show as well.
What's your take on? I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if Ian wants to talk about it, but we can. I mean, like the fact that Villa, mind you, this is media, so I ain't going to, stick the boot into Villa. Don't want to change that fixture. If we meet Man United in the final, they've got a game on Friday. We've got to play Villa away on the Sunday, and then the final's on a Wednesday. I know if we get the game, not the question with me, like we get the game on the Sunday, because we know what we'll do. We'll just play all the kids if we're forced to do that. So that's not the issue. The issue to me is the fairness to other people in the higher parts of the league than us that are challenging for European places. It's not fair on them. It might be Newcastle, Villa, Brighton fighting for places.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. I still think Chelsea and Man City are going to get deducted points anyway, so it's not going to affect them clubs. I think we've got to qualify for Europe anyway. But that'll be another show.
I was just going to say, I really do. I'm just,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. I just do not want to discuss that until we reach the final. If we
Yeah.
reach the final, because the FA are probably, they'd have had the representation. Spurs saying, come on, give us a chance. The Villa are saying, oh, but we've got things organised with kids.
Well, no, they want an easy 3 points. And they'd be favourites anyway, wouldn't they? Because they've done better than us this season.
I think what's going to happen is if we make the final, there'll be a massive flu virus going through the club.
Well,
and
if
we'll
it was
get
a question for them, Brad, of beating us to get Champions League or getting Europa League next season, right? They're not going to want to change the fixture. I get that, right?
I
But
do as well.
it's not just about us; it's about the other teams that are fighting for European places as well.
Well,
Okay.
you know what? If we make the final, okay, and then they won't move the game, then we've got to do what's best for Tottenham Hotspur. We can't do what's good for all the rest of the Premier League. So we play
lose 7-0.
Yeah, we play all of our kids or whatever's eligible for that game. We play them and say, well, look, we're in a final, mate.
Anybody seriously, anybody that's not eligible but likely to play any sort of part in the final should not play against Villa.
Exactly.
And Ian will remember, Brad. Ian will remember. You may remember as well. Chang's too young because Chang's only 12, right? He looks 12. That's what Ellie says. He only looks 12, right? Right. Ian will remember. I don't know if you may well remember as well, Chet. When we had squads of 14 back when we were in the FA Cup, we were fined for playing weakened teams.
Yes.
In the league because we it paid off for us because we won 2 FA Cups, but we got fined for playing weakened teams coming up to like when we realised no, we ain't going to get European place.
So guys, Adrian, you'll know this more than I. So our squad that are registered for Premier League football, what is it, 25 players? So we can quite conceivably play a team against Aston Villa that aren't the 11 that we're going to play in the final of the Europa League should be making
easily, and you can put the kids in
and if that's the case, we're not breaking any rules.
No.
And who cares what the other team? The other teams think about it.
No.
So if Villa don't
I mean, I get Villa want to keep it. They know we're in a final. They know we're going to play a weak side, right? So I get that.
We do it,
right? This is down to the league, and listen, they should start doing fair things that are a bit fairer and getting a bit more control of the TV companies as well. Because I mean, when we played Forest at home, I mean, come on, you're talking about a Sunday or whatever, you're playing Forest at home, and their fans have got to travel down to our stadium.
No, it's crazy.
You know,
it's crazy.
For an 8 o'clock kickoff. I mean, it's
Yeah.
disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And then, for Forest fans to do that, same as if we had to go. I mean, surely your algorithms, you can sort these fixtures out, these nighttime fixtures out,
Well,
suit the travelling times of away fans, right?
yeah.
I mean, it's just
Well,
bullshit.
apparently you can't get home to Manchester now because they're going to play the FA Cup final at 4:30 on the Saturday, the whatever it is, whatever that date is. What date is that game? I can't even remember now.
It's
The Europa League finals the 21st. I think the FA Cup, that's a Wednesday. So the FA Cup will be on a Saturday. So it'll be like
24th.
Be 24th, 25th.
No, I mean,
the FA
they're
Cup?
going to kick it off at 4:30, Brad. And
That's
the last train out to Manchester from Euston is 9:30. So, yeah, I mean, it's
bullshit.
They don't give a
isn't it,
fuck.
fans?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know.
And you can't tell me today with algorithms, you can't interconnect all these things to make it more suitable for a fan base. It's a bit like when you get fans book, and I admire the fans like even from where Chang is or from Korea or Malaya or whatever. They save up to come over here for one game, and then like 2 weeks before they're due to fly, Sky changes the fucking time of the game. These guys have booked hotels, plane tickets, done all this shit, and they get shit on. Right? It's wrong. You know.
Okay.
Why is the FA Cup not the last game of the season?
3 o'clock on a Saturday, Brad.
Exactly. Why not?
I don't know. I know the transfer window opens in the 1st of June this year. And opens for a few days, and then we cater for Man City and Chelsea being this World Club Cup Championship in America, right? And then the transfer window opens again. I mean, I wouldn't piss on those two clubs if they were on fire, to be honest with you, because no, they're both bent, right? And it's going to come out. I'm praying for these results to come out of these rule breaks. You know what I mean?
Okay.
115 anyway. I'm waffling.
You're waffling, and you can waffle on your own show on Tuesday night, which will be at 9 p.m.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
British summertime. I just want to say,
give a shout out to the 205 Ian that are in here now.
205. I think that we peaked at 205 as well. That's absolutely fantastic.
Fantastic.
Those of you watching
subscribe,
on
please subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm, and we'll continue giving you quality content, right? And superb guests as well.
And superb guests and Brad.
Yeah, and Brad. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, guys, I've started to write my Tottenham song for the final.
Oh.
Yeah,
I've got.
I know I shouldn't be. I but I thought, well, because there's only a 10-day gap between, or whatever it is, between the semi-final and the final, I thought, well, I might as well get it ready on the thing. So the lyrics are more or less written, the music's more or less written. The problem is next week I would normally record it. I'm working at the office the whole of next week because of the cyber attacks we've been having. So yeah, but the song is there. It's not going to be any number one hit single. Don't get me wrong, but it's
Happy birthday, Blaine. Actually,
on the way.
I didn't know he might have gone. Happy birthday, Blaine.
Yeah, I've got that.
Birthday, Blaine.
What I laugh is we've got this massive games, potential new managers, big signings, and everybody in the chat wants to talk about is Jose's prediction competition. I love it. And Jose is one of the absolute.
I'm going to whoop your arse, Ian. I'm telling you, I'm coming for you. You only got 4 points in front of me. I'm coming for you.
Yeah,
I might close the gap by 1 point if it's that low.
Well, you had 2-1 Chelsea, didn't you? I think it
was 3-1 though.
Very
3-1.
Cost you 2 points. You had 3-1.
No, I had 2-1.
Yeah, as soon as that Chelsea goal.
We've got the game tomorrow. I think I went Palace Forest. I think I've gone 1-2. 1-2.
Yeah. So let me just bring up the link. If you haven't liked and subscribed the channel, where are we? There we go. If you haven't
Well, I
liked
did
it,
win £3.50 on 1-1 today, actually, at West Ham.
Yeah.
£3.50.
Oh wow!
So
I had 4 bets. No, the others all lost, but actually, so
all that's left for me is to thank guests, Brad,
Cheers,
Chat.
Ian. Thank you for having me on.
Steve,
my co-host and fellow
Steve Silver.
founder, Adrian, and everybody that's been in the chat, everybody watching on X, whatever it's called, Twitter, and I'm just going to end. I'm
going to see you guys in the back room afterwards. I've got a couple of pieces of music to play. It's just to see if you like them. They're only like a minute length. They're intros.
Well, go on. Yeah, let's. Have you put mine on?
No, not yet.
I'm going to play mine.
And you can play yours as well. You do yours as well.
I've done 2.
I thought Meatloaf had died.
There's another one.
Is that I?
Or is it the same one? I need to be able to find mine. Where are they? I don't know where they are. Let me find them. I'll play. If you've got any comments, just let us know what you think of it. Right.
Well, what about this? I don't know if you can hear it.
My phone,
Let me see if this works.
What?
Right, hang on. Try this one.
Let's start again.
We're experimenting, you see, with a bit of AI technology.
Can you hear mine?
Yeah, I can hear yours. Could you hear mine? No. Okay, fair enough.
All I can hear is Tottenham till I die.
No, we can add them. Ian, your tunes, what you do is when you go into media asset, you just scroll down, video clips or music, and you have it there. If you want to do it as a video, you've then got to go on.
You're talking all over mine. That's not fair.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there's an right. That was my soul one because I love my soul music.
That's great, but they haven't really got umph for like
There's my
Spurs.
rock and roll. You want my rock and roll one?
Yeah, go for it.
Or heavy metal or metal or guitar. And we really don't want them longer than a minute. 30 seconds to a minute.
We are diehards.
Turn it up. Comments in the chat.
So anyway, enough frivolity. Enough frivolity. So we have
Metal
got,
Tottenham, yes.
that is 27 votes in the chat for Ian's, no votes for Adrian's. Yeah. Anyway, MC Adrian waxing over the lyric track.
Yeah, I think we'll take the moderator away from that.
I'll use my contacts and see if I can get Adele to do a song for you.
DJing from a dark room in Ibiza. I don't know if Steve's still there. One day it's going to be from a studio in Casada, and we've
got to decide. Well, the admins, me, Ian, Drew, and Tom, will have to pick a genre and the type we want. I mean, it's only an intro; it's 30 seconds or a minute, and the same for the outro. So, like, it's not super critical. I mean, the shows are more important, but it's nice to have a professional touches to the podcast.
I like the metal. I like the metal one.
I mean,
I'm not a big metal fan, to be fair, but I like the metal one.
I'm starting to think that must be how. I wondered how Kate and Jim had with their Mickey Hazard one, and I'm assuming that's an AI thing they did as well.
It is an AI thing that was done fantastically well by Coover.
Oh, Coover did it.
Coover, I've seen Coover for ages.
He's should get him on this show again. Right.
I did 2 today. Just went onto this program. There are loads out there. There's loads of AI music programs out there, and they'll give you like 2-3 hits at making songs. Then they want money off you. You know what I mean? So I thought I did a couple. Ian come back quick with a few. Soul, jazz.
I'll do one for you. Not charging much at all.
And I would like something with a bit of umph, but look, we can vote on it.
Right. Okay. I'm going. My lady said she's actually with her mum.
Yeah, I need to go as well.
See you guys in the back room. I'll play you the music if you're in the back room.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night, everybody. And it's good night.
We'll end the stream.
And it's good night from him.